Awesome. That is exactly what you. Okay. So.
Because I went with the you get 100 gold to buy your equipment.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Funny thing is I'm the one wielding a scythe.
I don't have a melee weapon.
You are your own melee weapon.
I am.
Oh my gosh.
That means you're the only one with a melee weapon right now.
I figured. That's why I changed from a ranger.
A big enough bow should be my melee weapon.
Like, I have a spear, a scythe, and a longbow and 60 arrows, so, like, I can do either.
I fight people.
I fight people.
How edgy.
Sorry, your whole character's edgy. I love it.
Oh my.
Woo. Hold up.
Wait.
Did you update the ones in mine?
Yep.
Why do I have 11 on here then?
What? Did I make a typo or?
There's gotta be one. Someone only puts out 10.
Oh, you have 2 healing words because you can do that twice.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yep. Wait, why is there a power floating in the ether?
Because it wants to be.
That's my secret power.
Purging flame. Oh, that's where that went. Okay.
Noble strength. You scroll down a bit. Blood drinker. Move
Yep.
to the right a bit.
Blessing of the sun.
And then you move up, and what do we get?
Love chaos.
Soothing light is one of mine. So.
And then we move up, what do we get? Purging flame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Hand of radiance. That's great. Great. Abby's character's
Wait,
going to hate me too.
Are you the invoker?
No.
Ranger.
Ranger.
I'm the top left.
Okay. I don't know what the y'all's powers. It feels like a cheat.
You're allowed to.
All of
How-
my powers are
metagaming it.
on I shoot arrow.
I like being surprised. I don't know what it is by the name.
Okay. So, as I had hinted at before, this is going to be a little bit of a cinematic opening, just to kind of set the stage and begin to move players around and, get to the right planets and such. But nonetheless, don't worry about it. Don't worry about
I
it.
saw the Twitter, I know.
Yeah, you have some defaults for Twitter here.
Yeah, that's fair.
My character's a flat earther, I bet.
Of course. Okay.
There's no reason you wouldn't be.
So, I guess I'm going to just kind of point and actually, this side of the table is starting in the Feywild, so that would be Sarah and Jesse. This side of the table is starting in the prime material plane, being Tanner / brand new. But the thing is, the two of you are actually starting at the same location.
Okay.
So let me begin with the tavern. It's called the Spirit's Gate. The actual edifice of the building itself is rather unremarkable. It is a large 2-story building where the walls are made of a composite wooden outside with a concrete towards the inside with thin lead strips on the inside, embedded in between to kind of create a little bit of a dampened arcane field. There are no windows anywhere on here, but areas with stanchions outside will provide lines to enter and exit the facility. Inside, there's a lot of your standard fare, except for the fact that it's a lot more colorful and vibrant. As this area is a nexus between, a weak point between different planes and realities. And so different areas will bleed over into one another. So on the side of the Feywild, where Vezrin is, there's a lot more of a nature vibe going in, but once you're on the inside, the different mantelpieces, some of them are very clearly of dwarven metal. The tables are human carved. It's all sorts of human culture and dwarven culture and Goliath culture. Everything is kind of this giant melting pot. And people will walk in through the door, and you will see them enter. And they kind of just phase through you as they're on a different plane of reality, and their ghost is walking through and experiencing the tavern at the same time as you. One of these characters you see kind of enter is this large bugbear figure, kind of bow slung over the back. They kind of make their way around.
Big bow. Big bow.
There are several gnomes kind of will wander around, and also from like a human side, there is 2 half-elves who enter the area. One of them they're both female. One of them with long red hair and a kind of red scarf in kind of a blue captain's garb. The other is much more full elven, but like maybe 3/4 elf. Kind of thinner black hair with specks of white where the sun has kind of bleached it. Garb much more akin to that of a sailor or a deckhand. They kind of find a place very close to the front of the building and just kind of take a booth all to themselves. You see one of the tables near, kind of towards the middle of the establishment, middle back, full of dwarves. They seem to have different mechanical contraptions sitting on the table. One of them actually it seems like their arm is made of metal. And as you're walking by, you actually hear it kind of clicking around as it's a prosthetic. In the far back corner, though, there is a single table with light on it, light above it, and there is one individual who kind of sits there in long flowing black kind of leather robes. Their hair is tall in a sort of afro style. They're darker skin, kind of kind eyes, but older. They've seen a lot, they're experienced. This individual just kind of carefully watching, just making sure everything is kind of going according to general ease. But there's general hustle and bustle throughout the different tables as different servers will walk down the spiraling staircase kind of towards the center, and there's large spits of meat that kind of waft up through a central smoke chamber above a open fire grill kind of right in the middle. And from that point, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you guys as to kind of independently tell me what you're interested in doing, where you would like to go, what you'd like to get, if anything.
Like non-characters telling you straight up.
Your choice.
Granny will put her hand on his stomach and determine that cooked meat should be his. So he's going to spend this time trying to cook your son.
Okay. You are more than able to kind of get some of it. Like, depending on what you want, like you can get a full leg of mutton, like good big pieces of elk, a whole duck if you'd like. Yeah, no, they're very kind of generous as this is all locally sourced. They have, at where you have entered into the tavern is the city of Ravenforge. There is a large, this sits in the center of the town that is governed by a Master Ilvero. And so they are kind of a local lord in the general political game. But once again, they don't have necessarily a lot of control, but they do mandate a lot of trade and kind of control that over towards the countryside where there are farms that are kind of sourcing where this food is coming from. And so a lot of it will be brought from there to on the human / prime material plane side, versus there's a couple. Actually, go ahead and roll me a nature check.
This flame traveling thing is something that it's not like a hidden detail about the tavern. Everyone knows.
No, everyone knows about it.
And the Spirit's Gate is in Raven Forge?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it's in all of these places. Like they built this tavern multiple times, and then they kind of used it as a way to synchronize this weak point in between the planes. And so,
16 on nature.
okay, you actually, in addition to the meats that you are much more familiar with, there are several that you are not familiar with. Some of them seem like you can see parts where different scale parts are kind of being pulled off, and like people with scaling knives are kind of pulling meat off. There's actually near one of the spits is almost a long tendril that kind of leads out into a large pad. It seems like a form of a delicacy that you would recognize as part of a displacer beast. It's kind of an...
Do I know what a displacer beast is?
You've probably heard of it. So it's a...
I'll have that then, just to say that I've eaten
It is...
It's
Okay. You are
It's
able...
still just me right now.
No, I know, but I like you as a person. That's
Oh, I'll take that.
so for one of the full tentacles, that's going to be like 7 silver pieces. But then you get like the full tentacle that you can kind of munch on, and that they've kind of skinned up and prepared.
Is it on a stick?
Yeah.
Not that I
it's
could
on
be
a trunk.
interested in it.
My excursion into the cobalt mines gave me some silver. I think I'll use some of that.
Okay. Yeah, you absolutely get your own displacer beast calamari, basically. Which, you know, it's not bad. It's kind of...
It tastes.
It tastes. It is food.
Oh my god.
It is definitely edible.
For once in the last few months, he's eating cooked food. This is good. Good habit.
So, what would you...
Vesman's like sitting over by the nature side of things, kind of looking with like a little bit of disdain at the rest of the restaurant, since it isn't as natural as she would like it to be.
He sees me across the room.
Yeah. And Vesman's like scanning everybody in the tavern, like trying to figure out who would be willing to help her on her quest, and she doesn't really think that a lot of the certain races in this place would help her very easily, but then she spots the half-elves, and she's like, these will do. So she's going to walk up to them and
Okay.
start talking to them.
As you approach...
In Elven.
Ooh, very fancy. Which one would you go to first?
You said that, was the redhead the one that was more Elven?
The other one seems like darker hair. She seems to be much like 3/4 elf.
So the other one was dressed in the captain's suit?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk to the redhead.
Redhead. Okay. She kind of looks up in your general direction. Her eyes are kind of a cold blue.
Why, hello there. How are you this time,
Greetings.
dear? I was wondering if you would perhaps spare me a moment of your time.
I can take a moment. What is it that you require?
Well, first, I believe that introductions are in order. My name is Vesman. I am from the Sun God's Temple. And yourself?
She pauses for, and just kind of holds on that note for a while, and kind of looks over to the other captain, Elise.
Captain Elias, are you? What a fine name. Have you heard of anything interesting going around in this area?
Nope, it's been rather quiet as of late. Yeah.
From your attire, I can see that you likely travel around a bit, do you?
You can say that.
Have you heard of anything, perhaps, that you might have taken note of in regards to the Sun's Temple?
Can't say that I have.
I see. Would you like to throw me for a meal, perhaps, and we can continue this discussion? Or perhaps over a drink?
I'm terribly sorry, but this is a little bit of a business venture that I've been involved in here, and, well, I'm sure you'd be lovely conversation, but I need to actually get back to our business over here.
What sort of business is this? I might be able to assist you in some way.
Roll me a... okay, go ahead and roll me a diplomacy check.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Fuck. That's a 14.
Okay.
That's not bad.
It's a natural 6.
Oh.
Okay. I think we can make something of it. You see that vase down there? She points towards the end of the corridor. There is a small cube, like a small box that has a wooden handle towards the side of it, and next to it is a vase. Whenever it seems most appropriate, slip this inside, and she hands you a slip of paper. And on the paper is a ring around it and a rune inscribed in the inside.
Would I know what this rune is?
Go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
Oh gosh, Arcana?
Yep.
5.
It is strange magic. You are unfamiliar with what it is, what it could do.
Can I roll an insight check on her and see if she has malicious intentions?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm using a different dice. 17 plus 10, so 27.
She is definitely being shifty. Like, it's hard to determine if she's evil per se or malicious, but there's something about it that she's trying to get you to do something that she just wants done, and she's trying to keep a cover from something going on that side of the room.
Very well, I shall do this for you.
Excellent. Oh, and by the way, get yourself a drink on my end, and she flicks you a gold coin.
Thank you. And if this should turn out the way you desire, I hope that we can continue the conversation later.
Certainly.
I'm gonna walk around the tavern a little bit and see if I can see anybody who might be good at stealthy things. 'Cause
Okay.
I am not.
Do I see anybody who might be good?
There are a handful of people who seem to be somewhat roguelike. Longer dark clothes, some with raven's feathers kind of adorning different crests and sides. You see kind of around where the dwarves have kind of sat down at their table. A couple of them are, there are several tankards around, and one of them gets up and kind of wanders over in the general direction of where you were going. Or at least where Elise had pointed you.
Okay, I'm
Just
gonna stop him for a moment by calling out to him.
Yep.
Hi, I was wondering if you'd be interested in a small task for me, in just return for perhaps a good meal.
Well, I'm listening.
All I need you to do is slip this paper in that vase right over there. It's a secret message that we don't want found by anybody else. Nothing dangerous, I assure you.
Roll me a bluff check.
You don't like my nothing dangerous?
Well, he is a bit intoxicated.
22.
Okay. Kind of takes a quick look at it and all right then. Kind of takes a note from you.
Just make sure you're not seen doing it, would you? Beautiful. Thank you.
They kind of instantly end up going right over there. And they go right towards where the vase is, and they kind of slip it in, and then you hear a plink as a silver coin gets added into the vase.
I made a mistake. Did she tell me to do it stealthily? Or
She just had to get it done.
Okay, it's done. I wasn't the one who did it, but I accomplished this.
Out of curiosity, would my character absorbed in thought have noticed that clearly?
Yeah, they're not being stealthy.
Okay.
So
I'm just wondering if even I could.
you are
Wait,
not in this tavern.
Is he so drunk that he doesn't remember what our conversation was?
No, but he isn't exactly putting anything together.
I keep forgetting we're in different.
I want him to forget.
No,
about
you're in the
it.
same tavern.
Oh.
You're just on different planes of existence, so you're kind of like
For,
a little bit in between each other.
for a second, I thought I was on a different dimension, yet still noticed how unstealthy that was. Is that bad?
Well, he's not that drunk.
Oh my gosh. I don't.
That would be impressive.
I'm kind of mad that he didn't do it stealthily like I asked him.
So since I should be on the same plane of existence, would I have seen that?
Are you in the room?
I should be. Am I?
Or are you at a different-
No, we're gonna cut away, and I have a little thing for you in a moment. Just little bit of scene setting in different locations I have to do, and just to kind of build up to how everything falls apart.
Quick question: how do people
Yep.
communicate in this world, like long distance?
Shall
Between the
Sending spells will work, different messages.
But nothing for those who don't have those.
tying a note to a
Do you speak Sylvan?
No, I only speak Elven and Common.
Okay.
I have a hawk.
That would definitely, you could do messages via that. There are different arcane means. It's not
I need a hawk.
it's not particularly difficult to find like different artifacts that would allow you to
Okay.
communicate.
But there's no common one of the postman or something. Or
No,
elf.
there are definitely mail services as well.
I was gonna ask the elf for contact info, but I'm not sure that would work out in this situation.
again?
No, this is different from the robot, okay? My
Oh,
certified
boy.
character is finding love, but no, I
They're
just
both robots.
we're androids. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
But
There are robots in this setting too.
no, I'm not flirting. I was thinking about the
I'm not flirting.
conversation.
I love Warforged too.
They have great asses in Hero Forge.
Good to know.
You didn't see that? Did you not see that?
I did see that.
Y'all are dorks.
Okay. And so we kind of roll back. As the dwarf puts the silver piece in, one of the tavern workers, one of the waiters, kind of goes over towards the box and, all right, kind of gestures over, and there is a small kind of line in the drawn on the floor with chalk that the dwarf kind of moves behind, and they kind of gesture and like, okay, you've got one shot, and they hand him a small dart. And so they kind of move over towards where the box is, and they begin to rotate the crank on it. It starts playing a little tune. I'm not going to sing it because I cannot sing.
No, now you have to sing it.
Oh,
You have to.
What's the tune?
Do we know this tune?
It's a very
Love
simple
Story
tune.
from Taylor Swift?
No.
With the Hunger Games. Do, 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 do. Sorry, until you sing it, my smart house mouth is gonna keep running.
Okay, so as this crank turns, it almost sounds like there's a bard trapped in this box, and it's kind of a dun 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 dun. It's Pop Goes the Weasel. And then kind of
I'm gonna back away towards my nature side again and like keep an eye on the area because I'm assuming like I'm more towards like a corner or a wall.
yeah, you can watch, kind of just
Watch
curious.
from a distance.
And as this is kind of going, half elf that you had talked to, Ellie's, gets up and moves to another side of the room.
She's not coming towards me?
Nope.
Bitch.
Fair. She's been called worse.
So have I.
So have I, probably. But we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh my gosh.
And as the tune kind of reaches its end, the kind of top of it pops open and a small, like, plush dragon kind of pops out. And the dwarf throws the dart to try and hit the dragon. And that's a natural one. And so,
No.
Yeah.
No. I almost
and so they just, like, miss, and it goes, and the dart kind of sinks into the wall. And
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, it hit the base and it shatters.
no. Like, this is a game that they have in the tavern that people will play.
It's got a vase next to this box.
To collect silver pieces, so there's an actual prize if you win.
Oh, so it did do it stealthily.
Yeah.
I was like, I rolled a 27 and this
Like-
bitch just goes over and drops it in there.
No, I don't know, but I was expecting an explosion after Pop Goes the Weasel plays. Every time I hear it, it's always followed by, like, once it happens, it blows up.
We're not at an explosion point yet. Gosh.
Okay.
My Pop Goes the Weasel
Like, she hasn't even been able to
PTSD is
reach
from
yet.
FNAF. So,
I guess I'll get my wish.
And so you see the kind of server go collect the dart from the wall, and the dwarf kind of grunts and kind of turns back towards the table and begins kind of seems maybe heckling the other dwarves at the table for another silver piece to give it another shot.
Aww. I
Um,
like him. Actually, I want to be friends with him.
The server's like, terrible shot, sir.
and you see this like dragon plushie kind of get stuffed back in the box and kind of sealed up, and then that is that. You see the door kind of swing open and a couple other individuals wander in.
While they're doing that, I'm gonna walk by the dwarf who's assumingly back at the table.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna drop enough money for a meal in front of him and keep walking towards the elves. And like, I'm just gonna do like a side by and
that's
be
an
like,
awfully
it's done.
kind act
That's
for a
awesome.
racist elf.
Hey! I was better than most people. They're all lesser beings, but I can keep my promises. Okay?
When you mentioned earlier that they have to find someone in the room that's naturally stealthy, I was thinking, oh god, how is an elf going to choose a bugbear based entirely off appearances?
Oh wait, you're stealthy, aren't you?
Oh, yeah,
very much
he-
so.
he's- he's got-
I'm so stealthy that I hid from your racial viewpoint.
That's fucking hilarious.
He's got Displacer Beast's tentacle on a stick that he's munching on. Like,
I don't know what that means.
So unwillingness to acknowledge bugbears, isn't he?
yeah. So here, I'll rotate over to you. You've kind of seen this go on, and
Mm.
anything that you would like to do or attempt, or
Not really. I mean, I saw the Jack in the Box.
kind of just a little fun thing that they kind of have in the establishment.
No, remind me again what it was that happened with the vase, what got dropped in there?
Silver piece,
Oh,
Just a silver piece?
just a
Well,
silver
you
piece.
don't know. The dwarf did a damn good job.
well, I guess for right now, I'm just gonna keep eating, but I guess I will kind of look a bit more closely at these characters that seem to stand out, the dwarves and elves and such.
I especially stand out for my beauty.
She does actually stand out as she is wearing predominantly white, and it's very clean white. Like there is a certain kind of respectable grunge kind of in the tavern, but very few people are wearing what would be definitely clean and like well made. Actually, I'm gonna roll back a quick second. Roll me a perception check, Vezrin.
Perception, okay.
This is what I would be glancing over the dwarves just because I.
17.
Okay. One thing that you do notice from when you were having your conversation with Ellie's, the red scarf on her neck had a golden embroidery on it, but it wasn't kind of a standard. You see it kind of had rotated around, and there were different like looks of eyes kind of all along the edges of it, but the fabric, the weaving itself would move, and so the eyes would actually blink in the fabric, and so it's kind of like living and animated.
I would compliment the Tavern. Let's say I did.
You did. You definitely did.
That's cool.
It's cool. In fact, it's sort of her religious thing.
Oh, do I know what god it's for?
Go ahead and roll me a religion check.
6, natural 1.
Nope.
You're going to jail.
Don't worry, that was already a really hard check.
What was it? Now I gotta know.
Do you see?
Yeah.
It was above a 20.
Oh, but I have 5 in religion.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no. There is that kind of almost religious emblematic. So, rolling back to the present, sorry. I guess I'll turn over to you, and if there's nothing else you would like to do, I will rotate over to Essahar, sorry. I'm still getting used to names.
You're in the roll fantasy, which does not help.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna stay where I am. I'll just be looking at the elves now, not the dwarves, because I don't care about the machinery.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Okey dokey. 15 plus 6, 21.
Okay. Which elves do you pay attention to?
Yeah.
There's the 2 half elves and me, right?
Primarily, that I've mentioned.
Completely randomly, you.
Her. Okay. Is there anything shifty that you're doing that he would maybe notice, or?
After doing my little deed, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna have like a teacup. It doesn't matter if it's not from the tavern, I just have one out. And I'm just sipping on tea, looking around,
Okay.
watching to see what happens next.
Okay. You see where Ellie's is kind of in the room. She kind of pauses for a second. Okay. And then moves to another area in the room. Pauses there as well.
Or just drop.
Something's gonna happen.
Something is going to happen.
Whether she was prime.
So before we rotate over perspectives and dimensions and everything that's going on, 3 individuals kind of wander into the tavern, and they kind of end up finding their way along the middle side, wandering around. One of them is carrying a very heavy piece of artillery. Another one seems to be a little bit stealthier, kind of in the vein of what you were looking for. Another one kind of wearing more kind of plain clothes and kind of keeping an eagle eye out.
Define artillery. Because with the last campaign I was in, that could easily mean a rail gun. And I'm just wanting to nail down exactly what it is.
It's about as long as that.
So like a sniper rifle kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, but very, like,
It is a gun.
it is. You probably wouldn't be familiar with the idea of what a gun is, but it is gun-like. There are kind of lots of mirrored platings on the different sides, and it's very. It seems like it's got lots of lenses and contraptions on it, and there is a kind of area that will rotate around, kind of warbling with just different energies and powers towards an end.
Can I try to see if they're making eye contact with anybody in the room? Like if they're heading towards them, or did they know anybody with some eye contact? Or?
Sure.
Is that perception or insight or what?
My character has seen crossbows.
Yeah. This looks like.
I'm saying that's the farthest he's gone.
Yeah. This is. Compared to a crossbow, this is alien.
The god doesn't even look like a gun to me. It looks like a mirror.
Oh, you are looking to kind of. What were you trying to.
Like see from the way they walk and how they're behaving. Like, are they heading towards somebody, or do they know anybody in the room from like eye contact?
Yeah, that would be insight then.
Insight? Okay, 18.
Okay. They seem to be heading towards the back of the tavern. Paying attention to...
Wouldn't that be towards me?
They're going to pass you, yes.
And I have to use now on the guy with the telescope, which is what my character thinks that his gun is.
Okay. Roll me a quick
Initiative.
If you want to take it.
endurance test.
You rolled one.
Endurance test.
Oh my god.
It's a skill.
It's almost like initiative in terms of what I didn't expect.
Wait, what is an endurance test?
It's under your constitution. It's one of your skills.
Why is it that that suffers armor penalty? Endurance.
Because like if you are
Oh, is that
like
part
if
of
you're
it?
kind of hiding and you're trying to like catch your breath, and
Oh,
like
okay.
if you have really heavy armor, that's going to kind of impede on.
Okay, I thought that was
Yeah.
like sustainability.
Is it that thing?
It is down there on the next with the skills.
Oh.
Oh, armor check or
I
not?
gotcha.
That is a 4.
Okay. It seems to be kind of vibrating a little bit, and you hear a hum, and it kind of rattles around in your head.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah. Now, our Deva Invoker is also in this tavern. So, unfortunately, she is not here to say that for me to say that you automatically fail that, and you have kind of a splitting headache from this thing walking past you. And kind of Doppler effect as they kind of move by, and they kind of end up sitting down with where the one lone individual is who's kind of been keeping an eye on everything in the tavern. They sit down there at the table and seem to be having a discussion.
I'm just gonna like keep an eye on them out of the corner of my eye, but mainly focusing on Elias.
Okay.
Like walking around doing my thing.
Moving around the tavern, kind of getting into small conversations, like doing a little small talk. Roll me a perception check.
Are they sitting close enough that it's still going to vibrate in my head a bit?
14.
Very little. 14. You see her kind of making her way around and pausing at different intervals. And at one of them, you see a small golden light where she's kind of doing something. And then she kind of moves on. Perhaps looking in your general direction and kind of looking immediately then away and kind of doing something else.
I'm just gonna let her do it.
Okay.
I'm having fun with this.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Brand new, because that annoys him, he wants to stand up, gather it up and meet with them, and like constantly kind of looking back at them, just move to the exact opposite side of the tavern.
Okay. The kind of humming sound in your head, gone. It's localized.
Okay. I'm now at the front of the tavern.
Yes. And so we will take this moment to shift over to another world at another time.
Kind of like this is level 1, we're already in the other dimension. of the tavern.
I know, right? It's almost like my campaign setting is very weird and has a lot of planar travel.
Not strong.
We haven't even gotten to the time magics yet.
I'm gonna go to the dragon.
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
My character's very underdressed for this.
Mine's over.
Okay, Azahar.
Yeah.
You are with a group of 7 other individuals, very similar to you. You're all from the same general area, kind of similar garb to you. A hunting party, if you will. Raiding party. Militant faction. You've kind of you're breaking down camp for what would be morning, but the kind of ashen sky. You see the 2 suns kind of beating down, but the sky itself is overall very gray and ashy. The trees around you are barren and leafless. The bark the color of charcoal. Kind of a very forest-like atmosphere, but everything around you is incredibly desaturated and muted, and ash kind of floats from place to place. Where each tree grows, it seems to be not in a state of constant metamorphosis, but in a state of where it's experiencing every facet of its life at once. There are buds on one part of the tree. Another part of it is rotting from the inside out. The actual trunks themselves, some parts of them are very sturdy and malleable wood, even under this kind of charcoal black bark, whereas others have been hollowed out by termites crawling up them. And the same will go for the plants. Like, you will see buds on new flower heads, but on the other side, the leaves have wilted and died. Palm fronds, where each individual leaf is at a different stage in its life cycle. This is the Shadowfell. This is lands that have grown out far from the Twilight Obelisk. This is where you've spent your entire life growing up. It's rather familiar to you. But nonetheless, you know that the Shadowfell is expanding. It has this small heartbeat that you can kind of sense beneath your feet, just as that of an ever-living organism that it is growing upon, encroaching upon, that it is a part of. Roll me a perception check, please.
Alright. Oh boy. For 25, unnatural.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. So you've kind of made your camp in the clearing with these other individuals. There are primarily what would be known as drow in other dimensions, but instead of the very stereotypical white hair, it's pitch black. Each one of them has different facial markings. Some of them kind of glow a faint blue, and others have a bit of a powder that kind of gets echoed into the edges of their face that is white, almost like a dragon's bone. You've seen this ritual done before. There's a sort of echoing feeling when you get near artifacts that belong to the obelisk. It makes every fiber on your skin feel like it's vibrating in sync. It's almost like a magnetic pull where you can identify where, facing like a compass almost. And from maybe 200 yards away, you hear a twig snap in the silent woods. What?
What was that?
The others look around. They don't seem to have noticed something.
So you guys didn't hear that?
No.
Alright.
Is there something wrong?
I heard a cracking sound in the woods.
Well, then, here, let me come with you. Let's take a quick patrol around while the rest of camp breaks down.
Thank you.
Can't be seen all alone out here. It's improper when the moon is highest. And so you and one of the other, what would technically be the patrol leader, kind of go venturing off towards this sound. You make your way until you are far enough away that a fog kind of begins to set in. And you hear birds kind of begin to call from trees at different angles in different areas. And small creatures kind of run across the underbrush. And eventually the fog kind of sets enough that you do not see the rest of the party. but you are right around where you thought you heard the sound.
Just gonna get my crossbow ready just in case.
Okay.
Just stand in place and look around.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check and then add 2 to it, basically with advantage. 13. It's quiet. Like, as you move around, this stillness in the air follows you, as if the nature itself knows that there are hunters and predators in the area. Everything is kind of attuned to you as the apex predator. And from above, you hear a small inhaling and exhaling from something hiding.
Well, I'm gonna look out, of course.
Just a tree branch.
Well, that's not good.
Immediately, there's a quick scampering towards the other side.
I'm gonna shoot at it.
Okay, go ahead and make an attack roll.
This one. Crossbow. 19.
Okay. Yep. Reflex. Yep, that's okay. You hear an immediate pained grunt as a sort of similar to the active living threads that I had described on Ellie's scarf. You see them kind of clench around, and an individual, like a humanoid figure, kind of appears for a brief moment up in the tree before they kind of slide down, as they're wearing a sort of active camouflage. And you hear the kind of tumbling in the ground, and their footsteps, they start running in the opposite direction away from you guys. And then there's another set following immediately behind.
I'm gonna give chase.
Okay. Okay. What is your movement speed?
I believe it should be 30.
Okay, so that would be 6
Like
squares.
6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to keep even pace with them. And they're going to run and give chase. Go ahead and roll me an endurance check, please.
That is a 20, right?
Yep.
Oh, great. 5. That's the one thing I'm not good at.
You take as you're giving chase, you see their form, and they keep running, and you kind of lose them for a second. You pause a second to catch a breath, and they seem to be gone, and there's a small flash of golden energy in the distance. And it seems like they either ran really fast or something happened. By now you realize that you're moving closer to the edges of the Shadowfell, closer towards your quarry for that night, closer to a city on the very edge of the Shadowfell, the one they call Emalanth.
Do I go back to camp or do I go to the city?
I mean, they're still far away, but you're moving in that general direction.
The camp's still far away, but we're all...
You're probably about halfway between where your camp was and where you
course
saw
I
this
am.
flash of light.
I'm gonna keep heading towards that.
Okay. you approach, continue moving forward, onward, and onward. And eventually you see these two humanoids kind of standing frozen still, as if they're running. One of them has their hand out, if they're in the process of casting a spell. There's a small golden glow at the edge of their fingertips, and you see that energy running down through their veins into the ground as it kind of arcs, and you see through little breaks in their clothing. You see your crossbow bolt sticking inside of one of their sides from where you had hit them previously. Their clothing has torn in that area, and it is filling with blood, but they are frozen. And you see kind of, as you get closer, they are Eladrin, full elves. They have the very archetypal, almost plated look about their skin, like they are native to the Feywild. And they were running, and they are now just kind of frozen in time as this spell was being cast. And their skin has kind of begun to crack and flake as if it's centuries old concrete almost, as it's flaking away like paint almost. And there's the one casting the spell, and then there is the other one who is kind of has their hand right on the other one's arm, and they're stuck in the same position as the two of them are just trapped in that moment.
Would I know what's happening there?
Well, go ahead and roll me an Arcana check. Just low DC.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, you are definitely familiar with this. One of the properties of the Shadowfell, one of the things that happens primarily close to the obelisk, it consumes magic. In a sense that the arcane nature fuels the expansion of the Shadowfell. It hungers for this. It is magic itself is the lifeblood of everything you have come to know, and they truly believe it to be good, as sometimes prisoners will be rounded up and they will be sacrificed to this area, to areas like this, where their arcane potential could be drained for the powers of your god. The one trapped behind the obelisk.
Sucks for them.
Yep. And occasionally, since they are kind of stuck in this petrified state, still fully alive, just frozen in time, regenerating slowly, as any living being would. It's quite useful for feeding.
If it worked for the aspect.
Well, I was thinking of they're like statues. Never mind.
They're all alive.
They are alive in there. They're just frozen in time.
So it's sustainable sacrifice.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Intelligent.
Yeah. Hey, it's a dark campaign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we know exactly what I'm going to do now.
Okay. Which one do you go to first?
Let's go to the one that I hit with the crossbow.
Okay. The arcane, the caster.
Yeah.
You're able to. They are completely frozen in time. They are unable to resist anything. They are there forever.
My character is upset, but me as a player is loving it.
Oh, this is going to happen a lot, so get used to it.
You're looking at sacrificial victims and only seeing something you can
Okay.
invest in.
The
Second
other,
round.
what?
Second round.
The other one?
Yeah. Or can I at all pick him up and return him to camp? for
They
the others?
cannot move.
I'm sure there's.
And as you go to,
I'm sure there's logic to this.
Oh no, I'm sure there is, and I'm also sure I'm gonna kill one of my friends.
as you go to drain the other one,
As a person.
Oh,
you
well, okay, yeah, fine.
pass through them. They're illusory.
The stones?
Uh-oh.
One of them is.
Ooh, she just go real.
Okay. Can I make any kind of check?
Sure. Go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Not good at it. Unnatural 20.
It's a simple illusion spell, just an image projected. The image of someone holding the hand of another who is frozen in time, seeming like they were captured along with them.
Okay. Do I at all know where it's coming from?
It was just cast there. Caster might be around somewhere, they might be gone.
Just gonna start heading back to camp.
Okay.
She's like, I'm going to the tower, so with my
Yeah. Okay, then we're gonna cut back to.
Oh my god. I'm gonna save them so badly. If they were not elves, I wouldn't give a shit.
The Spirit's Gate.
I shall partake of the pup.
Is that why you made them elves? Just because I would care?
No. Feywild cities, like Eladrin, are all over the place.
Oh,
Do I at all know
Sun
how the
elves
hell
are
they got
rare,
here?
yeah.
but Eladrin themselves are.
What about moon elves?
Moon elves are about as rare as sun elves.
Okay, real fast. Do I at all know how the hell they got in?
How the hell they got where?
They got in?
Like to the shadow.
Oh. How they got in? You can just walk. It's not. There's not any barrier or anything.
The obelisk is useless.
What?
Does that mean the obelisk is useless?
No, it's literally consuming the Feywild for its power. It's
Okay.
like the actual Shadowfell itself is kind of a parasitic organism that is attached to the living nature of the Feywild, and so it
Okay,
is.
so the obelisk isn't the door I was thinking it was.
No, it's
Power absorber for the whole realm.
it's kind of like the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey, but like
I haven't seen that movie.
okay, it's like a 15-story tall black rectangular prism, just like
It looks like one of the things we
completely
saw in-
dark. Yeah, but really tall, and it's just there.
Okay.
And there are lots of areas on it that have kind of been carved or broken in kind of a almost circuit-like pattern that surrounds it and crawls up on every side.
Okay.
And it's worshipped as almost a religious artifact, as the final barrier of the First War, where Kuvok was banished. QVOK, if you want spelling.
Oh, yeah, cool.
That guy.
Wait, so if the obelisk was not there, like would the whole Shadowfell just die?
It's a possibility.
Oh gosh. Protect that thing.
Well, yeah.
It's
I feel like that's a job.
yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's why that's why there's been Shadowfell marches against lots of Feywild cities. They have artifacts that apparently came, or at least respond to the same kind of energy that it makes up the obelisk,
Is it just called the obelisk?
the Twilight Obelisk.
The Twilight obelisk. I can spell.
Maybe you've been for the popcorn.
Oh yeah, it's the least I could do after failing to get you minis.
You're
Well,
fine.
as of right now, we haven't needed minis.
That is true. I have no idea how long that will last though, depending on what happens.
It's all good.
The Twilight Obelisk anything is possible.
Yes. Knowing the lore implications of it,
Narrative.
yes. Okay.
Back to camp for me.
So, back to the Spirit's Gate Tavern, where the two of you...
Spirit's Gay Tavern?
Spirit's Gate.
Gate. Okay, I
Yeah.
like gay better.
Hey, I'm not making... I have not officially ruled any sort of sexual orientation for its owner.
Hey, it could just mean happy.
Exactly.
What the hey?
It could be as well. It's a very happy place. It is, in fact.
It feels like one. I'm enjoying my time.
Well, you know what the other meaning for gay is, don't you? Happy.
Yeah, that's
They're
what they were
Exactly.
going for.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. We're all on the same page
Not
here.
that I care at this moment in time.
You found a statue of a human in the
And
woods
somehow
who
broke
once
its
was a
leg.
human. Well, no, it once was a human. It was one of the humans you were who was escaping you.
I thought they were elves.
Well, humanoid.
Isn't that how it-
Humanoid. My brain is on multiple different levels right now trying to
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
managing.
You are good.
Okay, so to the Spirit's Gate. Anything that you would like to do as you have kind of seen these people kind of passing by and going? A couple party members, just from like some of the other tables, will get up and leave, and you can kind of see the door shift and shimmer as they exit the tavern. And it kind of seems to open up back to where they had came from originally.
Well, what's Elias doing?
She kind of makes her way back to the table,
To where I am, or
where the other one is. The
where
other-
Are we from?
They have a table that is as close to the door as possible.
Okay, and I'm like more towards like the left wall or something.
Yep.
Okay. I'm tired of waiting, so I'm gonna go over and take a seat at their table.
Okay.
And so that conversation we were having.
Yes, conversation.
Now that I've assisted you in a small matter, might you be able to present me with some information? Just out of simple curiosity, I assure you.
Of course. What would you like to know?
What was that room? Just literally simple curiosity, nothing more. If you don't want to answer, I can ask a different question.
She pauses for a second.
As the DM tries to figure out what she's gonna say.
Look, I am right now in her mindset. I have lived with this character for a very long time, just trying to.
Ooh, excited.
Small message for a friend of mine.
Any fireworks?
Not in the way that you're meaning.
Perfect.
And you watch as as she says this, the fabrics on her scarf continue to move, and
That's what I want to ask.
they kind of roll up, and all of the eyes open, and a couple of them kind of start merging together and into have two pupils and kind of keeping watching. So it's a larger embroidering around it.
My next question is, that beautiful, beautiful scarf. Where did you get it? I would love one of my own if I could.
A little bit farther away, there are some spellcasters from the Fey Courts who are more than accommodating to hook you up with this kind of where it's also much easier to acquire it if you happen to just steal it.
Oh, I would never do such a thing. Not that I blame others for doing so. In terms of, shall we say, legally procuring one, where might I find one? No matter how far I'm on a long journey, a stop along the way would be nothing.
The Aerialist Wind Temples, they
Wait, what? I actually want to go hit the star. So.
she'll let you know of a location. she specifically mentions the Aerialist wind temples, so Aerialist, and then wind temples. It's this fabric is the same kind they make their balloons from, and so they can they can use it to change different densities of the fabric to float in different directions.
So what favor would I have to do you for me to purchase this off your fine self?
I'm sorry, but this is not for sale.
Fair. I would not like to trade such a treasure either.
Yes.
I'm gonna turn to her friend now. I don't believe you've been introduced. My name is Vezrin of the Sun God's Temple. Who might you be?
She kind of looks over to you, and once again you get this very steely gaze, like a soldier who has never kind of come back from their mission. Like this is a veteran almost, someone who has experienced great tragedy and hardships in their time, and they are constantly on guard watching. And you see that on their person, you don't even have to roll for this, there are very poorly hidden knives, like all across them, kind of like attached in different spots for quick access.
Wait, what did we pick up from the kobolds?
You weren't there.
I know, but I want the stuff.
You were able to pick up 2 small vials of they kind of made a caustic fire, so it will kind of it form as a poison that will burn and catch fire to a very localized area and inflict like 2 ongoing fire damage at the start of each turn, and then glue. Yes.
That's dope!
Yeah.
I've already tried it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Any small knives or anything?
And then the glue remains.
Couple. But like they're very small, very primitive knives from a group of people who had made them not long ago and died very shortly after making them.
Cool.
Definitely wasn't there.
Just kobolds. they die.
Yeah, they really do.
11 days.
Bart is my favorite. Not.
Yeah, I know.
What was your name?
I didn't offer it.
Might you offer it for me?
Janali.
Sonali.
HJANLI.
Oh gosh.
Just because I know you're taking notes and everything, so I felt like feel it's nice to give spellings.
Oh, that was yes.
Well, I also spell things weird, so.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, Sonali. Elias, might there be any other tasks that I might assist you with?
Just keep your head down and enjoy the show.
Gladly. I have the best seat in the house. I'm gonna walk up and go back over to my little spot, sip some tea, make some side eye contact with them, and keep watching.
Okay. Brand anything that you are curious to explore or engage with, try, do?
Well, a lot has been going on around me. I'm trying to think what I could engage with. Now, there's the displaced piece with the scaly meat as well.
Yes.
I think just a bit of that for the road
Okay.
wouldn't hurt.
So you're able to go up and get some, and this is less costly because it's able to be sourced from this plane.
Oh,
Still imported from the Isle of Sicilia, but it is Deinonychus meat. Deinonychus, dinosaur.
You're like, we didn't get that. It's a dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur. Sorry, I probably mispronounced it at one point, so I just wanted to give 3 answers for one.
Well,
One of the things that you turned into in a previous campaign.
Farmer Mundane didn't displace it, he's just a velociraptor chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 12-foot turkey, gosh. 12-foot turkey.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
alright. I'll package that up.
This feels like the more humane version of what I do.
We haven't gotten to what happens next, gosh.
My character is very grounded in reality, you would assume. I have no one to meet here. What time is it?
Night. It is very dark out. It's probably pushing 10:30 your time, or like what would be equivalent 10:30.
I'll say my character just got back from a hunt then, so.
Makes sense.
He'll probably just relax in the main room for a bit longer.
Plenty of space to do so. Lots of calm, peaceful area to just kind of lay yourself out, relax, take it easy. So long as you're a paying customer, they don't really mind.
Like that place.
Yeah. Just nice hustle and bustle. There's a small band playing kind of in the corner. It's not great music, but it's lively enough to kind of keep with the din of the place. There's wonderful smells coming from everywhere. Homegrown ales. Just all around joyous place, and then you hear a scream as someone calls out from a corner, and you look down right towards where they're calling from and where those 3 adventurers had kind of gone towards in the back of the tavern. And the individual that they had seen kind of has slumped over a little bit.
I'm just gonna smile and keep walking.
Okay. And they kind of immediately lurch back, as if maybe they weren't expecting something to happen either, quickly scurrying, grabbing stuff off the table, and begin to make a bolt for the door.
Wait. Someone at a table slumped over, and then the other people screamed, grabbed all their stuff, and ran?
Like, the adventurers you saw coming in start collecting their stuff off the table and beginning to make their way out after the person that they had sat down next to meet up with
Hold up.
apparently has been killed.
I don't know how this works. So
Do
I
the
don't
advent-
know this.
Who screamed?
Someone from the other side of the room who,
Did the adventurers seem concerned at all?
yes,
As in they're like, oh my god, he's dead?
a little bit, yeah. It's surprising.
When the other people start running, I can't open this up because my computer is frozen.
Uh-oh.
But I'm gonna try and do prestidigitation to make them think that the door is locked.
Okay.
Some way, shape, or form. I don't know what it does exactly.
The door itself is closed, but it's a bit of a sticky lock, but yeah, you can certainly try.
I want to make them think that it's locked so they can't escape.
Okay. You see the kind of concrete wall kind of cave in from behind where the body has slumped over. And there seems to be a figure in a maybe 10-foot tall, like a 10-foot tall figure with gold plating, kind of like full gold plate mail across their entire body, kind of standing there. And there is a large axe blade kind of in their hand, and it is like the individual who had kind of slumped over, their body is on the end of it. And they're just kind of walking around carrying it and kind of just slump the body off onto the ground.
Sounds like a person.
Yeah.
Sounds like a person.
Sounds like a 10-foot tall person in very heavy plate mail.
Gold armor, though.
Yes.
Could be indicative of a sun god. I'm not judging.
So,
Perhaps.
I think it's not, but
So they appeared out of the wall, revealing that they were dead because of an axe in their body?
Yeah.
And that was their
Like someone had stabbed through the wall into them. And then this person kind of came through the wall,
And now it looks
breaking
like
through it.
the adventurers were running away from that and not towards the guy to meet up with him.
Right, they're running away from what's happening.
Okay, I was about to shoot them, so I'm glad I clarified.
Well, we don't know who the good guys are here.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Are there good guys?
That's another really good question.
There's at least
We're in a tavern. Let's kind of see.
These guys weren't exactly good guys seeming to begin with, but
I was interested in the person I killed, though. So,
hey, yeah, that person's also very interesting.
The dude. Oh, they're not dead, are they? Ooh, okay, I'm gonna run over to the dead body that's been slumped in front of her. I'm gonna calmly walk over.
Okay.
And I just wanna see if they're alive or not.
That would also been walking over to the hulking golden.
Well, he
armor.
shook him off and kept walking, right?
Right. They kind of move following, and you see as a spark of energy kind of travels from a central reactive part towards the center, and you see kind of it pass through all of these circuit-like patterns into the head that fires out as two red beams from the eyes that hits one of them and bores a hole right through their body. And another body, one of the adventurers this time, slumps to the ground.
I wasn't interested in them.
Oh, yeah.
So if he's moved on from the first
Yeah.
photo. Okay, I'm just gonna look down on it and seeing if it's alive or not.
They seem to be dead.
Ooh.
And now Megatron is using his laser eyes on the adventurer.
Yes.
Okay, I'm beginning to formulate the antagonist. In this situation, at least.
Could be a
Perhaps.
revenge plot
Oh,
or escape slave or something. I'm gonna go through the hole that person came through. Just see what's on the other side.
You kind of attempt to reach through, and go ahead and make an endurance check at -2.
Oh Jesus. Endurance at
I thought they just wanted to know too soon.
so that's a 7.
Okay, as you are kind of reaching your hand through this hole, you see different beads of light that begin to kind of coalesce into droplets of just pure energy that kind of roll down on your flesh.
Ooh, beautiful.
And it hurts. It is a very painful thing as you are reaching through what is essentially cosmic microwave background radiation. Like, this is fundamental building block style of the universe. And it is basically trying to rip apart at your being. And so it
I'm
is.
gonna stop.
Yeah, it hurts.
As soon as it starts hurting, I'm pulling it back and being like, huh.
Yeah, painful. Very painful.
I'm not a weak-minded person. It's just like, cool. Moving on.
And you see as these couple adventures, they kind of rotate around, and the one who had the kind of cannon-like begins unleashing different blasts of it, and green energy kind of ricochets out and kind of blasts around this large titan-like monstrosity, this very armored individual. And it just kind of seems to roll off and kind of form almost clouds of energy. And especially now, brand new, and to a lesser extent you now, since you have kind of moved on, you feel this kind of pulsing and pounding in your head as this is not ordinary energy that is kind of rolling off and being fired. It is,
From the adventurers going.
yeah. But it doesn't seem to be working. And so this creature starts flailing its axe in different directions and basically chasing them towards the door. And they eventually just make a run for it. And it gives chase.
Is the table where that hooded figure with the afro, is that still standing or is it completely destroyed?
The table is destroyed.
Okay, I'm gonna move to the next available table and just take a seat across my legs.
Okay.
Pick up my tea again.
Okay. Taking it easy as the world is slowly ending around you.
Well, I promised Elias I would watch you
Yeah.
and have fun, so.
And you see her
That's what I meant.
get up, and leave.
Elias left?
Yep. Following kind of about a minute after, she just leaves. Following kind of where the mech warrior kind of person is. The other elf kind of stands by the door, watching, just kind of waiting.
I didn't mention this before, but like in general, my hawk is like nearby enough that they can hear me, but they're not on my person.
Okay.
So it's not like immediately obvious that they're mine. I'm gonna like quietly tell Tara and my hawk to go and fly high above and follow Elias.
And so it begins to kind of
Oh, wait, are they
fly in
still
that
inside?
direction. Yeah, you're still inside.
Oh, I thought Elias and them had like left the building.
They left the building, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
But
I want the hawk to go out and fly above. them.
okay. But it's still inside the building with you right now when you're telling it this, right?
Yeah, but it's like across the room. It's doing its own thing.
Gotcha.
So no one thought that was weird. Like everyone seems to just be having a pretty normal reaction to that.
Nobody's panicking.
Oh no, people are
Well,
panicking.
you said one person left like a minute after that happened.
That was Ellie's.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one who we think started this. Well, I think you probably don't know.
She was acting suspicious.
I knew he was freaking out. He doesn't know whether or not he should shoot. Or if they.
But no, yeah, people are panicking and kind of hurrying towards the door, and you see the other elven figure that you had kind of been talking to pull out knives and basically try and barricade the door and kind of make sure everyone stays in.
Interesting.
And you see where the vase from the center, it kind of falls and then floats towards the center of the room. And when it gets towards the center, each of the different arcane sigils that had been kind of placed around the room that you had seen Ellie's flare up. And tendrils of energy shatter the vase and explode outward and collapse the entire building from within.
Oh gosh, but that was in it. Oh shit. Well, do I have any?
So this
Wait,
is
I have face step. Does that mean I can? That means I can teleport within 5 blocks, right?
Yes.
I want to teleport out of the building.
Is there a window?
You're not going to get, you're too far away from the door to,
Oh damn it! Cause I'm by the hole.
Is there a window on the front of the building?
there are no windows.
Oh, I was gonna barrel right through one.
Well, that's
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
not
Are we
thinking.
buried in rubble right now? How like the whole building completely collapsed?
The building is kind of, as you watch as these sigils kind of explode and detonate, you see the cracks kind of form up and around the concrete, kind of interior frame as wood splinters begin ricocheting inward from all different directions. And then it kind of begins to freeze in midair. And each of the different lights that had kind of been refracted across throughout the entire tavern begin to pull in different directions. And parts of the tavern will almost reconstruct and then be also ripped apart at the same time, as if they're coming together and being pulled apart in different directions across different spaces and times and just being scattered.
Can I get back to my entrance by the nature side?
You can certainly try.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to sprint over there, and then with one like last glance over my shoulder, I'm gonna smile at the woman who calls herself Jelly. And
Okay.
I'm just gonna try and get through the gate.
Is the rogue still barricading the gate?
Oh wait, I thought they were really.
Janali is the one who is at the door, kind of.
The two knives.
Oh,
yeah.
is there only one door?
Yep.
Oh, I thought there was like one on each side.
Nope, there is one main door.
Never mind, I'm gonna change my course.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were gonna kill someone.
You might.
I might have to kill Janali if she's not gonna let us through. We're gonna die.
I kind of want to sucker punch them. Just like,
What do these do? Oh, holy
Meg's just
shit,
like, I don't
that's
want to kill you guys
cool.
this early. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Guys,
I'm willing to. It's not like I haven't done this before. I have definitely killed players in the first session
dude,
when I didn't mean to.
single battle gives me and any ally within 5 square all resistance to all damage until the end of my next turn.
Yeah.
Their resistance equals your constitution modifier.
So we
So
can't
that's
die.
4. Well, you can, but you get 4 less damage.
Yeah, whenever you would take damage, you just take 4 less.
Yeah.
So we could
For
die,
two
it's not
full
That's my
turns.
badly.
dex modifier.
Yeah. But I also get to attack somebody with that.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna I'm gonna calmly walk up to her this time, and I'm just gonna be like, "Gentle dear, would you let me by?"
And she looks to you as there are people who are kind of trying to push past her, and she is intently blocking the door, and she's like, I'm sorry, can't do that. Captain's orders.
Dear, if this is the only exit, and my other choice is death,
And I'm here.
there's only one option left.
And you see Janali get pulled through the door. Backwards.
Perfect. I'm gonna keep walking.
You see, well, hang on. As she gets pulled through the door, you watch as the door frame itself splinters into parts as almost kind of like a tesseract. It gets pulled out and different sides of it get ripped in every direction. And for a moment, you see yourself staring into the void of space.
Would I know if it's safe to go through this space or not? I just want to ask the general question. It's a black void. Would I have an instant?
Black void with a very nice starscape.
Well,
Could my
there's
character,
no other exits, right?
could my character shot an arrow at the person right before they got pulled in?
Sure,
Based off their response.
absolutely, you can shoot an arrow at her.
And they got the kill.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a chaotic cinematic opening.
Like, she's dead. She's in space, probably. Like, I don't know what's happening. This is my
Sarah-
first real, fancy D&D session, and you're throwing astrophysics at me and collapsing buildings and giants of metal armor.
Yeah, it's only first level, gosh, what? We're only first level.
I am thoroughly enjoying this, but I'm also thoroughly confused.
Well, that's very standard.
Yeah.
That'd be a 17 that I rolled.
Okay, yeah, you hit.
Okay.
Just so we're clear, if we die in this session, her twin sister who has the exact same stats and appearance is coming back.
Okay.
And a name that just starts with a BL, but it's the rest of it.
No, it's Vezrin the second,
Oh.
and the second is silent.
What's your first character's name?
This one's Vezrin.
Oh, I thought it was you like, I'm Blezrin. I look identical to Blezrin, but I swear we don't know each other.
Same temple and everything.
9.
Big floating mountain in the Feywild.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the 13 damage is right before she gets pulled in. I believe I have to kill her, and thus I fire a shot.
Okay.
I don't get a chance to shoot again though.
Wait, can I do Blessing of Battle as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's...
No, we're just trying to kill her right before she gets saved.
Well, I warned her. So it's a... Let's do a... wait, how close am I to her at this point? Like, am I...
Right up next to her.
Okay.
Right when she gets yanked through the door,
Okay, as she's...
seemingly
like,
into nothingness.
As soon as she starts getting yanked, I'm gonna take out my scythe, and I'm gonna take a swing at her.
Okay.
Which is... This is also Blessing of Battle, so for the next 2 turns, you get -4 damage on anything.
Okay.
And so do I. Okay, so that is a 5 + 2, so that's 7 damage.
Okay. And I need everyone to roll an endurance check, or at least the 2 of you who are in the tavern who are experiencing all of
The
this.
person who's in another dimension to do this?
No, I know exactly what's happening to her,
21.
and I know exactly how many hit points she has now too.
14.
Well, yes.
Yes.
So that is,
Well, yes,
I
but also
did
no.
send, aren't we supposed to send you our character sheet?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to kill you too quickly.
Oh,
Sorry, what was your endurance checks?
21. This is
21?
14.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
You both, as you're staring into the vacuum of space, or at least what it appears to be, you kind of feel your head cloud up. Your eyes kind of roll back into the head, and you just feel nothing black.
Hold up.
Same goes for you.
What the hey? What was the DC for that?
High.
Oh
Our
my
head's not
God.
exploding as well.
And you eventually wake up, gasping for breath.
Gasp.
And you see where there was parts of the tavern, and it is completely demolished. There are parts of it that seem to be almost at impossible angles, almost protruded in space, hovering for a second, and then it kind of crashes down around, and there's bits of rubble that crash everywhere, and it feels heavier here. Like, gravity is intense. But Vezran, you're familiar with that. It's the land you're from.
We're in the Sun Elves territory?
Well, you're in the Feywild.
Oh, well that's fine.
Yeah.
Are we in like a forest? Like what does the surroundings look like?
As you're kind of this, also same for you, Brand. It is heavy around you. Like, a creature of your size would not generally evolve in this territory, because it is just oppressively dense.
Oh, like gravity?
Yeah.
Even more of a hunch now.
But you are both alive. You have full everything. Like, I haven't taken away hit points or anything or dealt damage. Like, you're just experiencing weird cosmic events yet. And from this, you kind of see large clearings where there are other buildings. Just standard wood, thatched roofs. Brand new, this is completely different than the city you were in previously. There were stone buildings where the roofs were made out of what looked like boat keels, where they had kind of been broken down and repurposed. And then kind of leading up towards the center of it all is a large step pyramid, a ziggurat, with large posts at the top that have a gleaming light coming from the center of it. And you see off to the far side, and then on the other side, 2 stars in the sky.
I'm gonna do a quick whistle and see if Tara responds, if she's within hearing range.
You hear the wings flap and eventually come over to you.
Oh shit, that means the armor dude and everybody else are nearby.
Perhaps.
Well, I mean, I had Tara
Did she get-
follow them.
No, wait,
Did she get out of the tavern, though, in that
Yeah,
time?
before all this went down, she was following
She was
everybody.
following them, but did she get out of the tavern before it erupted?
Yeah, like as soon as
And
they
put
went
it
out, they were following them. And before the girl had a chance to even go out the door.
It's a possibility. I'm not gonna.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm not going to answer everything. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but did you say we were in a building or are we outside?
You are in a collapsed building,
Oh,
a
yes,
building
yes.
that has imploded.
That is right, that did happen, yes.
So
Okay.
wait, are we buried in the rubble or are we just like laying outside like we got thrown?
Buried in the rubble a little bit,
Oh,
but
fun. Okay.
it's, once again, not all of the rubble is there. It has been scattered across dimensions.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I wish to dig myself out and try to see the surroundings.
Okay, you get the exact visual that I provided.
Okay, I have to admit, I zoned out a little bit. We're in a forest.
There is forest towards the edges, but it is a very small city. There are wooden houses with thatched roofs, a large ziggurat kind of in the middle, large, big pyramid step temple.
Is this my home? Of the
No.
Sun Elves?
This is another city in the Feywild.
And you mentioned that some of the buildings had the ships on the top.
No, that was from, that was the other, that was the prime material plane. You are in the Feywild now.
Good place, isn't that?
Or, conversely, this is a good place for her.
Do I know where I am?
Yes.
Where?
This is the city of Emalanth. It is... You had stopped in at this tavern previously, kind of on your journey, and you had planned to stop by and just have a quick drink, find a place to rest for the night, and You didn't really expect it to explode. It's kind of hard to plan for that.
But this is like where I entered the tavern
Yeah.
in the first place?
This is where you had entered.
Okay, so I know where I am geologically.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Okay.
And it's beginning to be twilight.
So the only other person here in this particular craft location is me and the bugbear, right?
No, there are other people and commoners, like a Deva Invoker, perhaps.
But
Couple other, and like there are other people all around who are experiencing the same thing, but once again,
like, no.
not everyone who was in the tavern. There are people who were jettisoned to other planes of existence as well, and some who managed to go back to where they were originally from, but it was kind of random.
I'm gonna go around and help people and like help them dig them out of the rubble and help them heal a little bit if I can.
Okay. And you're able to kind of pull up, and there are lots of survivors. I'd probably estimate about 30. There's also several people who are crushed in the rubble, and there's just no hope in saving them.
I'm gonna send those people off with a prayer bait bells here.
Okay. And from farther down within the city, you hear a loud horn blaring as people begin to march around from their locations towards what would seem to be the barriers of the city.
Like the people in the city are going towards the barriers?
Yep, towards the edges. And you see Eladrin, humanoids, half-elves, elves. And they're carrying weapons, but they're not well made. There's also farming implements around them, with them as well. Like, this is whatever they have. This is a local militia who is run ragged. And you see fear in their eyes, and they haven't even fully processed that one of the buildings in their area just imploded at the same time, and like everything seems to be going wrong in this city.
I'm gonna stop somebody who's running towards the barrier and be like, excuse me, what's happening?
The night raids are coming.
The night raids?
Yep, find somewhere to, if you have weapons, keep them close by. Otherwise, find a place to hide.
What are the night raids? What do they do? Do they just slaughter mercilessly, or can there be reasons with?
My character's gonna hear this and come over too after taking some rubble and shouting explicit.
Makes sense.
Yep.
By the way, there are still freshly cooked pieces of meat that are just kind of on a broken spittle that you could
He's
just.
coming by with his long arm, he's just gonna scoop one up as he's going by.
Yeah. You get, wow, that's a natural 20. You know that bug, that displacer beast tentacle? Like, you're able to find a good majority of the rest of the cat that was being cooked and
Oh,
It's a
thank
cat?
God.
You were eating a cat.
yes.
Oh my.
Truly, Atlas has guided my hand well today.
By the way, as it is slightly darker outside, the stars are in a completely alien position to you. Like, you're able to notice, and you are familiar with how they look in the normal night sky from where you're from. Now, you're able to find a couple of the similar patterns, but they're larger. The different constellations are of different sizes and different positions, but
I suppose my character would care about that for navigation.
it is also just different, alien. Like, you have been jettisoned across time and space to an entirely separate world.
At the very least, I know I'm not in Kansas anymore.
You are certainly not in Kansas. That is correct.
Never were in Kansas.
Please name your actual hometown, Kansas. I would thought so hard. So what was the answer? to my
Sorry.
question from the frenzied person?
Oh, you were asking what the night raids were.
Yeah, like, are they just slaughterers, or can we reason with them?
They will cut down anyone who stands in their way. Anyone We protect the temple.
Would you like help fighting them?
We'll take anything that you can give.
Lead the way.
Okay.
Where
You,
are
big fella.
Oh,
You coming along? You look strong enough.
yes, okay. I wasn't sure until she complimented me.
What do you
Okay, and the
7-foot tall hairy goblin.
Ah, yeah, you look strong. Come on. He also looks big enough to.
he's eating a cat, like a big panther-like cat. Like
It's a both hand effort.
like,
Vulgar peasant.
and they will lead you to an area kind of towards the edge of the city, where you see almost where land that was fertile and growing and very colorful and vibrant. There is a small river that runs by, and immediately on the other side, it looks as though it has been hit by a wildfire and just completely burned.
Poor thing.
Fog kind of rolling in on the side, and the Feywild, it never reaches dark. Twilight is the darkest it gets, but it is pushing as dark as it can, as far to the night as possible. And you see figures in the mist, humanoids, several of them, and also several creatures that are larger.
How many we talking here? Like a number that we as players could reasonably fight, or like an army that will massacre. Like, just a number.
As far as humanoids, at least in this section, 5.
Okay.
As far as larger creatures, maybe 2,
Okay.
perhaps 3.
You ready for a fight, big man, big guy, man, whatever you want to say?
I suppose so. Do we think it's realistic that we could take on all of these people?
I don't know.
I'm
How's
just
wrong?
fucking with you, of course.
Shall we go?
As you kind of begin to ready yourselves, I think that's where I'm going to call it for tonight.
Yeah.
Just because,
No battle laugh.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to call it a little bit early, just because,
Right before we call it, could my character ask, where exactly are we?
Wow. Home, of course. Feywild.
Okay, you lost me in the first half. No, you've completely lost me, actually.
Just know, you are with me, and under the God, Vilseer, you will never be lost.
Okay.
God.
solid. Okay, yeah, that's where we're going to go.